Oh, we can wait just it's almost, well, it's about 10. It's on the dot.
All right, it's 10 a.m. and I went ahead and went live. So if you guys want to wait a few minutes for Gary or other members, that's up to you.
And did you say, what did you say about Jeff Middlebrooks?
I haven't heard back from him.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, we'll go ahead and just call the meeting to order. And I think everyone knows everyone. Have all of you had a chance to meet Kyle? I think maybe you have.
I believe so.
Kyle McGee, we're happy that you're here.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Great. And we have a visitor, John Housley, and he is the owner of the property, Mr. Edmondson's old property in the park. And I think the owners are delighted that you have it, from what you tell me. And
Well, I haven't expressed any
no displeasure.
frustration yet.
But we're happy that you're here too.
Thank you. I am too.
Okay, then we'll officially call the meeting to order and hope that Gary Self makes it. So, I think you've all had an opportunity to read over the minutes. I know they were, it's been a while. Did anyone have any comments or corrections that needed to be made? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
You have the motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, they stand approved. Thank you, Jameson, you do such a great job with those. Okay, discussion and update of World War II Memorial for Veterans by WLA Studio. And I think, unfortunately, Dale Yakers couldn't be with us via, what do we say, the internet?
Right, so what I'm going to do is call her real quick.
Okay,
On here,
great.
and she'll be able to walk everyone through the plans.
Thank you for calling Yeager Landscape Architecture and WLA Studio. If you need immediate assistance, please dial 0 for the operator. One moment, please. Hello, this is Dale.
Hey, Dale.
Good morning.
Hey, is this Oasis?
This sure is.
Okay.
We've got you on speakerphone here.
All right.
I'm going to let Miss Kay take it over.
Sounds good. Okay.
Good morning, Dale.
Good morning.
We're happy you're with us. Sorry we can't view, but those things happen these days, as we all
I'm
understand.
sure. And I understand you all have 11 by 17 sizes of the plans in front of you, correct?
We do, and we're grateful to have those.
Good, good. Well, I'm happy to run through them when you'd like.
Okay, well, we're ready.
Okay, so the first drawing that you're looking at, the first sheet, is just the title page, and that shows first that this is the 65% submittal, and you see project location and vicinity maps that we put on there. And then on the far left is the project directory, so you can see that the team's comprised, of course, of the client, the city. WLA is landscape architects and also the prime consultant. And then we also have a structural engineer, Reed Sheets of Sheets Structural Consulting. And his role in the project is to do the structural design for the exhibit, the interpretive exhibit. The surveyors were Metro Engineering and Surveying Company of McDonough. And they had done the previous survey work for Barge when they did the trail project. So that was one of the reasons we went back to them, since they already had a lot of that information. And then the irrigation designer is Bob Scott, whose company is Irrigation Consultant Services. This 65% submittal that you're looking at today has been done solely by WLA Studio. We'll now bring the structural engineer and the irrigation designer into the project, so that the 95% submittal is going to have all the drawings. If you look at the sheet index there in the center of the page, I have put an asterisk beside the plans that we've submitted so far. So, and just to run through them real quick, you know, you always have an existing condition, which basically shows you the survey. The next time we submit at 95%, we'll have enough detail that will include a demolition plan so the contractor knows what comes out. Then we have the site plan, which I'll share with you today. Grading and drainage we'll do for the next submittal. I still have a few questions that I want to address to the city engineer, who, by the way, along with the city and, you know, the park committee, will be reviewing those drawings. So the city engineer will be looking at them as well. And so I have a few questions about grading before we do that plan. Planting plan is I'll be sharing today, then we'll add details to that in the next submittal. And then we have several sheets of construction details. And then you can see the sub-consultant drawings follow, so those are not part of this submission. So that's the title page. Or why don't I ask if there are any questions about this before I go on to the next?
I guess it's kind of obvious and understood. So what this presentation is the first 65% of what we're doing, and there's still more to do as far as the structural consulting and the engineering, that type of thing. But this
each submittal, I mean, the 95% will be everything. So what you're seeing today is just what we could do ourselves, and we also, at the 65%, we just want to make sure the site plan, you know, is approved, that everybody agrees. You know, we had a few changes in plant materials, which I'll share. So we need to get complete agreement. I mean, once you start doing construction plans, you can't make a lot of changes. And so this 65% is the chance to really, you know, verify what the direction we're going in is the direction you want. So the 95% will be, hopefully we'll submit the 95% and you'll find a few typos or something, and then we'll do the 100%. So once we finish today's meeting and you review the plans and we get back comments, then we'll wrap these up as quick as possible.
Okay.
Any other
is that,
comments? That was a good question to ask.
that was a good question.
Just so everybody knows, we submit at 65, 95, and 100%.
Great.
Yeah. Sometimes we even do 110, but let's hope that doesn't happen here. So, okay, next page. Next page is very self-explanatory, so I won't spend much time on this. But this is a very important page because it's the survey. And you notice I have the surveyor stamp on here, so the surveyor stands behind this work. I mean, based on this survey, we know where all the underground utilities are located, you know, as best they could. And, you know, they had a utility marker company out there that marked all the utilities. And so, you know, we will design this plan based on trying to work around these utilities, because that's, you know, very important not to disturb those if we don't have to. So,
okay, Dale.
Hey Dale, and again, as I look at this, like this, what is my orientation? Is left?
Oh, okay, sure. So sorry. North is to the top of the page, and then on the far right is Church Street. Of the page is the pond that's closest to Church Street. And then if you look into the plan itself going north of the pond, you can see the round water tower there. And then if you look kind of to the northeast of the water tower, see there's a frame building that's there. And all of that is currently, you know, enclosed. And in our revised, in our, you know, future plan, we will continue to enclose that. And then you can see the trails that exist on the right of the, you know, of the drawing. And then the trees have been marked. And they've also, and I'm looking at this, I'm not seeing the little hardwoods. I think there might be a layer missing, which I'm glad I'm catching that now. Well, no, there are some new. You can see the pines are the ones that are have the dark, straight lines coming from the black center, and see the other little small ones. You can see the little small, circles. Those are how the city's come in and started to plant some hardwoods in there, and so you can see where those new hardwoods are. And then you can see that line of shrubs along Church Street. That's that crepe myrtle hedge. And we also marked the Blue Star marker. We know where that is now. I mean, we know where, we've even got the pet waste sign and the pet waste can. So everything that's there is on this survey. We went back and forth with the surveyors a couple times. I'm sure they were getting tired of our comments, but we've got the survey right now. So any other comments on that? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, the next one is the site plan. And I'm going to talk about the site plan, and I'm going to wait and talk about the vegetation when we get to the next plan in more detail. But basically, and I know if not all of you, most of you were part of the conceptual design that has resulted in what you're seeing. So we really have not made any major changes to that. We still have this large plaza area, and you see it's in a dark color. And we're proposing to use the Slate Scape paving that we had talked about during the conceptual design. You can see, in fact, let me just do this. Look at the labels on the drawing that are at the right, and I'll just go from the bottom up to the top. So the first thing you see is the Interpretive Exhibit. And also on all these details, if you see that number that says L-403, that keys the detail for this interpretive exhibit to sheet L403. So anytime you see a detail with a number, then you can refer to the detail sheet to get more information. So the interpretive exhibit, and I'll explain that in more detail, is located there. And you probably remember we wanted that sort of at the front of the plaza, so when people walk up, they immediately see it and can get oriented. Then we have the block bench, and you remember that's the one that we're using the star motif off of the architectural elements that used to be in the landscape, and thanks to Kyle, they have now been moved and are in a location where they're in a weather tight location. They're in one of the city warehouses, so they're being protected now. But that star motif will be used in this block bench, and then above that's the Slate Scape, which I already mentioned. And then you're going to see two diameter planting beds, one that's going to be 4 feet, and that's going to be for the peach trees, and I'll explain the detail for that. But what we're going to do is ring the planting beds with this plant edger that's a plastic material. So the Slate Scape will come right up to that, and then in the planting bed itself will be mulch. And then the linear bench is the next one, and this will be using the motif that is a more linear design, and it was one of the motifs that we have original architectural plans for, and it was the large pilaster cap on the former mill building. And so, and then I mentioned the 6-foot diameter. That's going to be for some oak trees that I'll be sharing in a second that we've added into the plan. And then if you look in the upper center, there's a 6-inch concrete border. So we were proposing a curved border around the entire area where the plaza meets the sidewalk that is north of the pond or the asphalt trail. We don't have to have the concrete border there, but we were showing the border on these other 3 sides. And this is to contain the Slate Scape so that it's easier to maintain. And then I'll be talking about these medium trees in just a second. And then you can see the new location for the vinyl coated, we hope budget allows, chain link fence.
Okay.
So those are the elements of the site plan. So let me go ahead and talk about plants, and then I'll open it to questions. So if you'll go to the planting plan, what I'm showing here And this shows you the canopies of the tree. So when you look at this planting plan, and I'm sorry, the background for this is still not as dark as it should be. I'll make a note. We'll make sure we revise that. Okay, so what you're looking at are the locations of the trees, and each tree that you're looking at, it's showing the diameter, and this would be at full, maturity. So, in 20 years, when all these trees have grown as big as they're going to get, or at least really gotten established, you can sort of see how much coverage we have on the plaza itself. And I'll tell you what happened to me. It was during the conceptual, we had talked about the peach tree bosque, being a reference to the peach trees that used to be here in their orchard form. Well, when I went to the site, it was in early August, all of a sudden it hit me that if all we have are peach trees out here, we're not going to be able to have a comfortable visit to this spot in the middle of the summer if we don't add a little bit of shade. And so what we have done is suggested that we add 3 large, oak trees that'll grow to a large size. And in adding them, we maintain the grid. So we still have that grid form, so that visual impact of the grid is still there. We're also showing some medium trees that are outside the plaza, and you can see those are the 3 trees, and you can see they're connected by the line, so that, and then they're keyed. So you see we've got the American Yellowwood is this medium-sized tree, and then the peppermint stick flowering peach are the small peach trees, and then the chestnut, we're all talking about adding 3 chestnut oaks. And let me just share a little bit about each of these trees real quick, just a quick summary. The flowering peach tree, the peppermint stick, it's an ornamental peach tree with a variegated white, pink, and red striped double bloom that appears between late winter and early spring. Some of the branches bear solid colors, and the blooms last longer than most other varieties. And fruit, in this case, will be absent. We don't want to have a fruiting tree in a space, that's a public space like this. It would be a maintenance nightmare. And the height of this gets up to 20 feet. So then at that 20-foot plane above it, we'll have these large shade trees, the chestnut oak. And the form of this tree is a little bit irregular and open, which allows sunlight to penetrate beneath, so that the peach trees have some sun. And it is a maintenance. It's not nothing is maintenance free, but it does not have a lot of pest problems. Beautiful fall color and very drought tolerant, which is good. And it gets to be 60 to 70 feet tall, and its spread is 50 to 60 feet. The other tree, the yellowwood, Kelsey, who was continuing to work with me on this project, came up with a suggestion for this tree, and I'll just read what she wrote because I think it's a wonderful reason to use this tree, and then I'll tell you about I have a personal experience with this tree. This tree species has symbolic meaning for the park memorial. Historically, yellow ribbons were worn by those awaiting the safe returns of loved ones from war. Yellowwood is named after its yellow heartwood, and yellow hearts are symbols of support for the American military and their families. And this tree is, ranges from 30 to 50 feet tall. It's 30 feet wide, and it blooms in late spring, and it has these dramatic panicles that drape down and will lend a stunning effect to the allée. Its fall color is bright yellow. And I have to tell you, at the first time when Kelsey had suggested these trees, she had them in the plaza zone. And so I talked with her a little bit about that, and we reworked them. And I'll tell you why. I planted a yellow wood at my first house that my husband and I built, and I love the tree. It's just a beautiful tree, and the panicles in the spring are fabulous. The problem is the tree, when we planted it, was close to the driveway, so those panicles would just literally cover my car in the spring. And I told Kelsey sometimes I would back up and then go up the hill, and I felt like a bride with all these white flowers flowing off of my car. And so I told her that the best place to put it would not be on the plaza itself, but adjacent to the plaza. And it's just a beautiful tree, and by having it adjacent, the panicles will not be something that would have to be blown off every day. So those are what we're proposing as far as the plantings go. And one thing is we're still getting a lot of shade over the benches, as you can tell by those canopies. In fact, every bench except that one little block bench there at the front is within the shade. So with that, I'd love to open it to any comments. I think this is kind of the meat of the plan that you're looking at, and you see we put pictures of the different trees that we're proposing. One last thing, we will have Carolina jasmine around the fence, so that'll be growing up on the fence, and then I'm sure we'll be doing some Bermuda grass just for areas that have been disturbed. So those are all on the plant list. You can see the plant list there on the bottom left. So, so questions, comments?
I think Doug has a question.
Yeah, I had a question. I had two questions. The chestnut oak in the fall looks like it would be yellow and kind of orange or so. And then two, what was, as far as the ground covering, it says Slate, Scape, Paving. What exactly is the composition of that, and what would it look like?
Okay, let's do this. I'm going to show you the detail for Slate, Scape, and in just a second, and I don't have a picture of it here, but after today's meeting, I will send you a Slatescape picture of it, and I'll share a little bit more. Let me hold the explanation about what Slatescape is until we get to the detail.
Okay. Were there other questions?
Well, just
Okay.
wondering. So I guess that picture of the chestnut oak, it looks like it has color to it in the fall, and it's yellow and
Can you hear him,
orange.
Dale?
Yeah, you're talking about the chestnut oak.
Yes, the color.
Yeah,
yellow.
it looks. It's more of a. I mean, it looks like it's sort of a golden, golden reddish color. I'm sure, like a lot of the fall trees, it goes through a lot of different shades.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and we get a lot of color from the yellow woods. And then one thing I neglected to mention, the peppermint stick peach tree that we're recommending. It's a tree that has been used in public installations. We found it in several parks in Charleston. So we thought it would be kind of a cool one to offer. So that's where that one came from.
I have a question.
Okay, Gary?
Up there at the water tank, I see that you are proposing a new fence around the water tank.
Yes.
The city has, I guess, leased out the antennas on the water tank, and how would these people be able to maintain their stuff, because you've got them cut off from getting up there? I see them parked up there a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, that is an excellent question. And the whole time that we have been working on this project, we have been in touch with the city engineer about exactly what you're asking. And I talked with him early on because I told him that we were going to, we wanted to change the alignment of the fence. And right now, what he basically, said is that they needed 20-foot clearance around the base of the water tower. So this new fence line, reflects that. And then one of the things I will be talking to him is getting access into the, into that fenced area. And let's go back to this one. It's got a little bit better base. Yeah. So. At this point, we're going to have a gate for them to be able to get into that, into the water tank area. And my thought right now, just looking at the topo, is it would probably be, on the south side. You see where the plaza ends. I would say a little bit to the left is probably where the gate would end up going in. But the city engineer is going to be reviewing these drawings, and I have not gotten details on the fencing yet. In fact, I'm having a really hard time just getting information on chain link fencing, if you can imagine. But I'm going to be working with the city engineer to be sure that we do that in a way that still allows access.
Okay, let me just expound on it a little bit more. Now, obviously, they've been coming in there from out on 19. But if they have to, they can't come in that direction anymore because it's going to be so closed up. And if they come in from over there at the fish pond entrance, it just dips down so far, and it will come across our walking trail. So that's going to be a kind of a hard thing unless they go down to our street and let them come all the way from our street. It's going to be it needs to be studied to find out, because the city gets considerable money from renting those antennas or whatever it is up there. And so we can't block them off. And if we come from our street and we finish our plan in the future, we're going to cut them off again. So it looks like to me the only way that they could get in there, if we can figure it out, is coming from over there.
Yeah.
From
I would ask Russell and Kyle, do you have any thoughts on that observation?
I would have the same thought. I think that's a great point that was brought up, and that's something that we need to catch at 65%. That's a major issue that we need to figure out a workaround, whether you come up the path and then around this, but then you have any future development as this plan goes down the hill. That's something that we really need to look at for sure.
I mean, the best would be if you could come in from the R Street area. I know when I've been in the park up on, this site itself, I mean, city trucks will come by me and they drive over the trail for sure. But our plaza is not designed for vehicular use, so we don't. So yeah, I think that's a real good question, and I totally agree that this is why we're coordinating with the city engineer. So a great question and something we need to work out.
Great.
Okay, back, I just wanted to Google just so I'm sure. The chestnut oak's fall color is everything. It goes from orange to yellowish brown. So we'll have a lot of color from those.
Dale, just out of curiosity, are the chestnut oak and yellowwood native?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Should have said that right off the bat. Yes. Yeah, of course, we wanted to use native plants. And also, the peach tree would not be native, but
right.
That has the historical reference.
Right. Well, they're beautiful.
Yes. Okay, so any other comments or questions?
Well, just as a
on the
side
plan?
comment, I remember driving on the Pine Mountain Ridge in the fall, and they have all of those chestnuts along the ridge. And this is kind of a nod to that connection. But I don't know how related the chestnuts and the chestnut oak are.
But a good point.
Yeah, but
I'll look
anyway,
into that. Okay,
it's
great.
just a nice connection in my mind.
Yes, sounds good.
And also, the further connection to the fact that FDR did buy
Yes.
2 mules in this thing.
Yeah, did you hear Doug?
Yes, FDR.
Yeah.
One of my favorites from history. Okay, well, let's jump into the details real quick, and I'll start with Slatescape, and I will definitely, we'll make room to put a picture of that on here so you'll know what it looks like. But Slatescape Paving is something our company has been using since 2006 at the Gwinnett Environmental and Heritage Center. Is the first time we used it, and we have been using it ever since. And I, in fact, back in January, installed a path at my own home using Slatescape. So I will swear by it. It is a wonderful material. You can only get it in one location. There's a quarry in Rockmart, Georgia that produces it, and I've been in touch with them, about, the cost and everything when I was doing the costing for this. But the top of, we're looking at L401, so at the top of the page, you can see the typical detail for Slate Scape paving that we use. You have 3 inches of the Slate Scape. Underneath that, you have a 4-inch graded aggregate base, and then you have the compacted subgrade below it. The nice thing about this material is that it's permeable, and so when it rains, the rainwater just goes right through it. So we don't have the issue of runoff with this. And in fact, at my house, I'm using this on a path that probably has about a 6 to 7% slope. And I remember when we used it at the Gwinnett Environmental Heritage Center on pathways that had slopes, we were amazed how well it compacted and held. And in this situation, we've got a flat surface, so we should not, have any trouble. And one key is when it's being installed, the wetter the conditions, the better it compacts. And so we've, and I won't read all the specifications, but if you look at the bottom of the page, we put the specifications for the Slate Scape down there. And I'd have to go through here and find this, but we mentioned that, we want it to be done. Yeah, there it is. Part 3F says, Slate Scape installation is most effective in wet conditions. Provide a wet environment during installation. And so the Slate Scape detail is at the top of the page, and then the spec is there at the bottom. The next detail, this is like just slicing through the plan to show you the concrete. So if you start with this detail on the far left and see the concrete curve that we're proposing to put in, the 6-inch concrete, then you see the Slate Scape surface with the rock underneath it, and then we have a break there. And then we're going over here to how the Slate Scape works with the planting bed. And so we are proposing to use a material that I found called Edge Pro Professional Poly Landscape Edging, and you can see how it's installed based on the little plan that's there to the side, the installation instructions, which is detail 3 on this sheet. We selected this because this material is 5.5 inches deep. We wanted it to go deep enough that it could contain the Slate Scape. So that was one of the reasons. The other reason is it's a real flexible material, so it's easy for us to make the circles with it. And so this is sort of the ground plane detail. So any questions about that?
I have one. So the surface of all of this, the composition is literally slate, crushed up slate. And,
like slate chips, I think might be a better term.
Right.
Slate chips.
Good point.
Slate chips.
But we think that would be better than just grass.
Than grass?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, the thing is, we're going to have benches out here, and the thing is with grass, oh my gosh, whoever would have to maintain that would shoot you. I mean, they'd have to have a weed whacker, and I mean, it would just be I think it'd be a maintenance nightmare working around all this. So no, Slate Scape is, and Slate Scape, I mean, we've been talking about that since the conceptual phase. I mean, we want this to be a hardscape plaza so that it's, it's a memorial. I mean, you want to go to a place where, it's clear this is a separate element in the park. So I think the fact that it would have a hard surface, even though it's permeable, it's a hard surface, is important.
And so part of it is to draw attention that this is a separate part and this is the back. Okay, I just am asking.
Exactly.
That.
Yeah, that's exactly what the intent is, and it's on the high point in the park too. So it gets attention just from the focal point location it has.
Okay, Dale, this is Gary. On the sheet EC 101, that is, you know, one of the first ones. It shows the drainage, those drains out there, and I don't see how they are going to match up into the area where the slate is.
Yes, that will be covered in the drawing under drainage, under grading and drainage that we'll submit. But right now, I mean, if you go back, this is a real good observation. If you look at drawing 101, and then you look at, you go back and look at the site plan together. Let's see. Let me get it here. Yeah, if you look at the site plan, okay, if you see those drain, okay, you see where the trail like splits, and I'm looking at EC 101.
Yeah.
If you go to the pond and you go over there to the right, you can see where the drain starts. You know, the drainage system, it's a clay pipe that comes up beside that middle trail, and then it crosses, and then it goes there. So that catch basin that's there, you know, we would work around it and leave it in the plan, so it would be there in the corner, you know, of the plaza, and then see that piping is all underground from there where it outfalls further down the hill. So, you know, we'll grade in a way that we work with that. So I don't see a problem with it. I mean, we just leave it in the plan. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to address that because we can't do away with that.
No.
We can't do away with those drains because they are there for a purpose. To pick
Pick
up that water.
The best thing a landscape architect can do on any project is try to work with what's there. So we don't fight nature, and we don't fight existing conditions. So you're right. I mean, we will follow the drainage, you know, the drainage system that's there, and grade in a way that we maintain that. So okay. Any other questions on Scape? And so what I think, I'll do two things. I'll send you a picture of Scape today, but on the 95%, we will add a Scape image there so it's clear, you know, what it's supposed to look like or what it will look like.
Okay, Dale, Taylor had a question.
Hey Dale, what about tree root growth? You know, you're putting 24 trees in this plaza. My concern is 20 years from now, you're going to have these massive chestnut oaks in that plaza that are going to have these massive root balls. And, you know, how's it going to affect that Scape as far as the roots pushing up and you know, messing up the plaza?
You know, I mean, one thing I would say is, I mean, we're planting these, I mean, it's going to be a lot like you would be planted in a forest. I mean, it's not like there's a lot of, I mean, roots will grow sort of in the direction of the least resistance. So there's not any reason that the roots wouldn't, you know, grow down more than out and up. You know, I can talk with some other, you know, some other people at WLA that maybe are a little bit more horticulturally experienced or knowledgeable than I am about that. But I just don't, I mean, when you've got a 6-foot planting area and those are going to be mulched, you know, I think there's plenty of room for the root system to thrive there. But I think, I mean, that's a good question. I don't see that there's an option though. I mean, we've got to have some shade trees in there. My only thought is maybe we'd make the planting bed larger, but I mean, it's a good question. So let me put some thought to that.
I just know it's going to be some big old trees, and I know that's an issue we're having in downtown where you had these crepe myrtles over 20 years. You know, the roots are just spreading out. They're getting in our water lines and our sewer lines. So I don't know if there's any kind of way to build some kind of frame to direct the roots.
I mean, there's all kinds of, I mean, you know, if we had more budget, I mean, they do make various root guards now where you can, you know, basically have like a membrane that roots can't penetrate. So, I mean, you know, there's some of those kind of things we could do if that were necessary. I almost think those kind of things could be done, you know, in the future. I mean, there's so much we are doing now with tree roots in urban areas, and we have structural soils that, you know, allow, you know, you to have like a surface that can support, you know, pedestrian or vehicular traffic, but below it, the roots can be there and still have a, you know, a good medium for them to thrive in. So, so let me just ask some questions about that. I feel like, with a permeable surface, hopefully, they won't have a reason to grow out as much as more down. So, but I'll check into it. I don't have a real, great answer on that right now, but I'll look into that.
And Dale, let me ask you again, you will know much more about trees and all these things than I do. I am a really big fan of maples because of the incredible color that comes in the fall. And the chestnut oak looks like it has color too, but you've chosen the chestnut oak. How do those trees?
Oaks are a little bit long. I would say oaks are a longer lived tree than maples. And maples sometimes, I think they have more root issues to me than oaks do. So I love maples too, but I don't know. Here we were looking for a tree that would get a really big canopy. So that was one of the reasons. I mean, there's a lot of natives I like, but I think for this installation, I felt like an oak was the right tree for this.
Okay.
Good choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Okay, so
Wait.
Just a quick
Sorry.
question. I know you said you provide what the slate scape surface looks like in another picture later, but can you describe it again for me? Is it like little pieces of gravel that pack down, or what?
No, I mean it's real fine. So it's I mean why don't I let's see. I could email something to somebody right now if you'd like. Would that help?
Oh, I'm looking at some on Jake's phone.
yeah, I
so
think
I see it. Okay.
Yeah. Do you see?
Yes.
And I've got some beautiful pictures of it. I mean,
Okay.
we've used it, like I said, on so many projects. But it's just a grayish black surface, and it doesn't look like gravel. I mean, it's just a fine surface, but it's really hard compact.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
let me ask
I think y'all will really like it.
let me ask a question about these trees. Is this ground, where these trees are going to be planted, is this going to be in the contract to do it properly, or is the city going to have to do that?
No, that'll be in the contract. The contractor that does the work will have to have, certain amendments and things added to the planting beds themselves. So no, that's in the planting detail sheet, which we don't have it's not with this submittal.
Okay.
So no, that will be part of the contract. The city's not going to have to do anything other than, just be involved in the management of the construction.
Okay. Do we have any guarantees? We've had 2 trees planted out at the Greatest Generation Park, and both of them died.
Well, we have irrigation here, which y'all have not had in the Greatest Generation Memorial Park before. So, my understanding is it's the first irrigation you've had in the park, which is fine. I don't propose irrigation unless you really need it. But we have irrigation here, so we're going to have an irrigation system, and the company designing the irrigation system used them for years and years. They do wonderful work. And so I think we'll have a great irrigation system. The plant material, all the plant material will be guaranteed for 1 year. And so if anything dies in the first year, the contractor will replace it. That'll be in our specs. And typically, you lose things, early. So so this year guarantee, I think, is a good thing. The last thing I'll say, using native plants, and we're using that for the yellowwood and the oak, even in addition to having irrigation, they're native plants. So, and the chestnut oak is fairly drought tolerant. So we should be fine.
Okay, that sounded okay with a year guarantee. If they're still alive after a year, then I think we can then say, okay, you did what you're supposed to.
Exactly. Okay, detail sheet 402, and this I think I can talk about pretty quickly because we did a lot of this discussion of this during the conceptual plan, and this just shows you what happens when you start putting measurements and how the artifacts themselves fit, and you can see the star one, and we're just basically, trying to sort of render. These are to scale, so this is what they'll look like. And then at the bottom, we just use the architectural detail to show you how that one fits on that linear bench. And these benches are sized in, normal sizes, like the block bench is going to be 2 feet wide, all around it's a square. So that'll be a very comfortable place for, 1, maybe 2 people to sit. And then the 6 foot is a very standard bench size. One thing I want to share is that in August, when Kelsey and I made a site visit, Kernan Dowell from Georgia Precast Solutions came, and they will be the people producing these benches. And Kyle, at this point, has he gotten the 2 artifacts from you as yet?
He is not.
Okay,
We
so
still
the
have them in
plan
store.
is what they're going to do, and you can see at the bottom we have notes that it's going to be fabricated by Georgia Precast Solutions. They're going to use these original architectural features. The city is going to loan them these 2 architectural artifacts, and they're going to take them to their manufacturing plant, and they're going to make a template from them, and they'll be on loan, and they'll return them back to us because we need them in the exhibit. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to fabricate a final scale foam mock-up of both benches, basically like in styrofoam, and we'll review that before they make it'll be 10 of these, 5 block benches and 5 linear benches. The bench is going to look like before they do it. And so I'm really excited. They've done several concrete elements to projects that we've worked on at Georgia College, and they do really good work as well. So any questions on that?
Dale, I have a question. This is Allison Uphold. I visit the park very frequently, and I noticed that in fact, well, first of all, this is a great idea. I love the fact that we're getting these benches. But there's the textile workers at one time would always go through that gate. That was a metal gate, and I noticed it was at the park. Is there any way we can incorporate that or not? No.
At this point, I think this design is done, and I don't want to introduce anything else at this point. I think the exhibit that I'm getting ready to talk about will cover a lot of that. I think that's something that, there might be another place for it, but I you know what I mean? I feel like like we've got just enough here.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
and I know exactly what you're talking about, but at this point, I don't know. I feel like we'd be trying to shoehorn something in at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I'm glad you asked that question. I think that is an important element. So let's talk about L403. And you can tell this was not done by CAD. This was done by hand.
I love it.
Uh-oh.
We lost you. Dale, we lost you.
She can't hear me. Time up.
Thank you for calling Yeager Landscape Architecture and WLA Studio. One moment, please.
Hi, this is Dale. Sorry I missed your call.
She's probably still
Please
on
call
talking.
back. Thank you.
Oh, dear.
She got lots of lines, and we got another line, and she's still talking on her.
She'll figure it out.
Tell them you're looking at it.
Here's no response from us. She'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling Yeager Landscape Architecture and WLA Studio. If you need immediate assistance, one moment, please.
this is Dale. Sorry I missed your call.
Kyle, you want to
Please
text her
leave
real
me a
quick?
message. Thank you.
Try another
We can take a
extension and tell them to tell Dale that we ain't got it. If she's, you know, obviously it's more than one extension.
Take a refreshment recess.
Yeah, exactly.
The wonders of technology.
Part I really want to be.
Russell's got the right idea. Refreshment recess.
I already got one.
Oh, the chuck.
You want one now?
If you need a meeting assistance, one moment, please.
With sprinkles.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm skipping one. I'm skipping one.
Yes, ma'am.
You want one here?
I'd like an orange.
Well, figured we don't meet often, so.
Anybody want orange juice or water?
Thanks, Russell, appreciate it.
Hi, this is Dale. Sorry I missed
You
your
text
call.
her?
Please leave me a message. Thank you.
I bet she's still just talking away.
Dear. I know. I mean, it's a lot of little bitty steps to get it overall right. That's good. And I think this would be a great thing to hear her talk about. She's talking, but she's not talking to us. Is there, I wonder if there's anyone else at that extension? Or if there are other extensions you could dial, just,
Yeah, let me try that.
yeah. And they could alert her.
Let's see what
So
we
many
can
people
do.
work from home now. I've never seen that variety.
Thank you for Jaeger Landscape Architecture and WLE Studio. If you need immediate assistance, please dial 0 for the operator.
Are they?
If you know your party
Yeah,
with
I think I've seen that.
Those look like
Yeah.
I've got a new chestnut oak tree from the farm.
They're so, didn't they, they did almost become extinct?
Now, you're thinking about American chestnut.
American chestnuts, that's what I saw on the Blue Ridge that reminded me, but I'm not sure I've seen
When they
it.
imported the Chinese
You've reached the desk of
chestnut
Jennifer Peppers.
into
I'm
America.
unable to get to the phone right now. If you'll leave your name and number and a brief message, I'll return your call as soon as possible. Thanks. Have a great day.
But I think she was really thinking about shading. You know, would give you enough
A lot
shade.
of the framing in the old mills around here is cut out of American chestnut. It's a very rare wood if you can find it.
Thank you for calling Jaeger Landscape Architecture and WLE Studio. If you need immediate assistance, please dial 0 for the operator.
It's not
If you know
lunchtime
your party's
yet.
extension, you may enter it at any time or choose from the following directory.
She might be having
Rob
connection
Yeager,
issues on her end.
238,
Having what?
Dale Yeager,
Connection issues on
Yes.
her end.
Jennifer Evans, extension 224. Once
Hey,
again,
we've been trying to call you back.
have a great day.
No, you're fine. I figured you were still talking. Can we call you back on your, should we call you back on this phone or your office or? It's fine, I'm calling you right now.
Maybe it's the entrance to the other.
It happens.
She said, I was just talking and talking.
It's gonna house this stuff.
Thank you for calling Jaeger Landscape Architecture and WLE. One moment, please.
Hello.
Yay!
I was telling Oasis, I thought my husband was just calling me over and over again. I thought, why is he bothering me right now? So anyway, how far did I get? I'm so sorry.
We were about to discuss, or you were going to discuss the L403.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, I've had a great rehearsal. I'll end.
Oh,
Okay,
dear.
so basically, okay, at the top is the original concept. So you remember we were talking about a metal frame that was open, but we've got panels and we've got some of the architectural artifacts on all four sides of it. So it's something you walk around, and you remember from the site plan, it's right up there at the front. So if you look under in the center where it says Interpretive Exhibit, and look at the first one on the left, it says Front South. This is if you walked up to it, the front of it would have the large pilaster architectural artifact across the bottom, and this would be like literally hanging, but it won't be hanging, it'll be supported. But hopefully we can have the metal frame around it, and it's within the metal frame, and maybe dowels will hold it up from the bottom with some type of metal across the bottom to hold it in place. This will be what we'll work with the structural engineer about. And then we used a small one of the artifacts up in the upper left-hand corner, and then an identification sign. And then if you look at the two on the right, the side views, we would be able to use the two star architectural artifacts that we have on the bottom of each of those, and then one side would hopefully have, I would love it if we could find some pictures that would be of people. And my thought is Jameson, the archives, is going to need to help a lot in identifying some good pictures. But I think it would be cool if you walked up and on one side you saw soldiers or military personnel, and on the other side you saw the textile employees, the workforce, the home front. And those could even be a close-up of somebody, or it could be a group. We'll have to decide. And then at the back, we'll just have two long panels, interpretive panels. One at the top that would be a military theme, and then the one at the bottom, the home front theme, the textile employees, Martha Mill, and then this would be a great place to bring in Draper's plan. And I didn't want to get too far into what images we might use, but I just show you a few across the bottom there at the bottom left, some of the interpretive options, and these are some of the photos. In fact, you can see the mill employee there at the bottom right in that group. I mean, that might be something you could use on that side panel, something like that, and then these interiors of the mills or some other options, and then you see Draper's plan in there as well. So one thing I want to mention, and you can see it here, the design intent, and I'll just review this real quick. It's to be a metal frame, and I hope we can get it with rounded members, because the rounded form is really reminiscent of all the shapes of the parts of the manufacturing process inside. The looms, all of them seem to have these rounded metal members, so I hope we'll be able to do that. And they'll have the exhibit panels and the artifacts, in there together. And we're going to have, we want this to be where nobody can get inside of it, but we will have to have sort of a trap door of some sorts to allow the city to be able to access it, to be able to blow leaves or something like that, just to be able to maintain it. The other thing I want to say is the size of the artifacts sort of dictated the sizes. And so if you look, the total height of this is 7 feet 8 inches by 7 feet 8 inches by 8 feet long. And, that just sort of came by putting that large artifact at the bottom, that on the front there. That was the first one I placed, and then trying to make them all work together. So I think that's a quick explanation. So comments or thoughts on that?
Are we going to need any legal clearances if we utilize pictures of actual people?
Jameson, that would be, we would have to make sure, but we'd have to be sure everything we're using is with permission. But I'd look to Jameson and the archives folks to for y'all to look into that and figure that out.
Yeah, my understanding is if it was taken for the mill, then, yeah, the mill would have copyright ownership over those images, so.
I think what we need to do is figure out the pictures we want to use, and I'll be looking to Jameson and the archives folks to, help do a lot of the work on this as far as what images to use and some of the narrative that goes with it. I will tell you, I'm in contact with a company that we've used for years to do interpretive panels. They're UV ray protected. I mean, they're really long-lasting panels. It's called Folia. So I'll talk more with them, sort of in how we our role for the design is to come up with this interpretive element. And so all the interpretation and signage, et cetera, that's going to be a step that we're going to have to explore with this folio company and also, the local archives. So the whole point of my exhibit, sheet today is just to sort of show you the concept and how we want this to look.
Dale, when I look at these, I love the way the thought that you've given it. There will be some narrative on there, and will the narrative be on the front, on the back, or and how many of these will there be? I could go back and look at that site on the front, but how many will there be?
Yeah, if you look at the construction detail, the ones that have writing in them, that don't have artifacts, those will all have either pictures or narrative in it. That's the concept. And, there's some places where we might want to have a lot of narrative if somebody wants to really stop and read. But I think a lot of it will be pictures and graphics to bring it to life. But again, I'm really hoping that the archives and Jameson and Kay and some others, will really get involved and help with this.
Yeah. And again, how many interpretive exhibits will there be?
This is just
There'll just be the one metal exhibit, and I'm just showing you the four sides of it.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
if you look at that original concept up at the top of the page, you're looking at the front of that, and then you can see one side, and there's a back, and I've just put this out to show you this is a front view of the front, the back, and the two sides.
Gotcha.
It's on
and how the artifacts would work into this.
It's on that 101, Doug, where it locates exactly that interpretive exhibit.
We have a local
Yeah. Look on,
this.
L101.
Is that 5? I see.
L.
Yeah, at the very
I
bottom.
know, but it's at 5 in number. Looks like 5.
No.
Okay,
one.
say what now? I'm sorry.
How many, I'm looking at that 101, and I see 5 different sides of that thing that's called the interpretive exhibit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that how many is going to be out there?
No, I bet you're looking at benches. Okay, the only interpretive exhibit is the one at the bottom that says L403, the little circle.
So that's
the only interpretive exhibit. We probably need to use a different symbol. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so it's not confusing. But yeah, that's the only interpretive exhibit. The other ones you're seeing are the linear benches and the block benches.
Okay.
I was trying to say, we have a local metal artist, a local welder, who has expressed interest to me on doing some art tying back to the mills. He's very talented. Some of his pieces have been used in like Black Panther, some of the Marvel movies. He recently relocated to Thomaston about a year ago. So we wanted someone local that we could work with to build this structure, that could work with Jameson directly. That's an option. I think he would love to do that.
Yeah, who is that person's name?
His name is Derek Spivey, and I can get that information to you. But he's very talented. Like I said, he had a space up in Fayetteville prior to COVID. He was doing stuff with the movie Pinewood Studios up there. And then with COVID, he's relocated to Thomaston. He's doing some stuff. But I'm really trying to get him integrated in our community. He approached me about doing some art pieces tying back to the mills. So if we could utilize him and his talent and someone local that James could work hand in hand with to make this happen, you know, I would love to pursue that option
Yeah.
rather than supporting something outside.
Well,
of
the
our
structural engineer will do the plans, and then whoever's the selected contractor is, he's gonna be, you know, looking for somebody to do it. So it would be, you know, we could make sure that he gets their name. The contractor would be the one hiring the person to do this. But they have to hire somebody, so it'd be great to use somebody local.
Great, thank you.
Okay, well, that's where we are right now, and I feel like I've gotten some good input from y'all and things I can revise the drawing. My question would be, I know everybody wants to know, well, you know, what's the schedule? What I need now is for the city to review this. I need to send it to the city engineer to get their review. You know, I'd propose, a couple of weeks or 3 weeks at most. Y'all tell me how long you need to, and you don't have to do it right now, but if you'd let me know how long you need to review it, then we can get poised to make the revisions and start working on the next submittal as soon as possible. And then once I get a sense of how many revisions we need on this, I can look at a schedule for the rest of the project, because once we do the 95%, the 100% usually comes pretty quickly. Then I talk to the city. We need about 45 days for contractor qualification, and then to do the bidding. And then once we get the contractor, we'll be able to, have a construction schedule. And I do want everybody to know the city was very receptive to the idea of qualifying contractors once we have the plans, so that when we get bids in, we know these contractors can build this. Because if we get a bad contractor, it won't make any of us happy. And so if we can make sure all the contractors are qualified to do it, then, it should be a successful project for all of us. So that's all I
Any
have.
rough idea from the city when this might,
I would say 1 week, 2 weeks max.
Exactly.
all right.
Okay. Okay, so
Right.
we're today at the 25th. So that would, we could say, like the week of the 8th. How about that? And I'll try to put the same deadline on the engineer as well. I'm going to send him an email today with this information.
You know, just
Okay.
wait just a minute. Just looking at this, the site preparation is going to take a considerable amount of time, to get the slate down. We can't do this other stuff until the slate's down. So obviously, of course, now I like that idea of a week from now, but we don't need to wait and wait. 6 months from now, start site preparation.
Well, we've got to get the plans done first. So, and we need the plans to be reviewed thoroughly, so that, we want to catch it now in the drawing so that we don't have problems with the plan. So, the city's saying they can review these drawings in 2 weeks, which sounds great to me. So, that'll work.
Okay.
So just
Okay.
to go,
What,
just to go back to what Gary had asked about earlier, and Kyle commented on about these people who have antennas, is that consideration can be done by engineers or whatever within 2 weeks? Is that what?
We'll review the specifications of our agreement with the cell phone provider, and I'm guessing as long as we provide them some sort of access, ingress, egress, and meet the stipulations within the contract. We'll just, get input from our engineering group, what the best method is that. Also, general access to the tower from our water distribution people as well.
Okay.
Kay, I need to go. I'm so sorry.
Oh, listen, Dale, that we understand. Thank you so much.
I had an appointment at 11:15 this morning, so, if I hadn't lost y'all, we would have been finished. But, and I hate to leave, but I really need to. So can y'all just let me know if there's any other discussion I need to know about?
Okay, great. Well, thank you so
Okay,
much,
thank
Dale.
y'all. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. No problem.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, that was a thorough summary, and it all sounds exciting, and I know we're looking forward to it moving along here. So thank you, everyone. And I appreciate all of your input. Very good questions.
So we can't really start on anything until the plan is 100%, 98% approved, is that correct?
Once the plans are finished,
Then we'll put it out to bid.
then we'll
Okay.
put it up.
I didn't-
So once you bid it, then you're gonna have 30 days on advertisement, then you're gonna have 2 weeks on review, then it's gonna have to come before a committee, then it's gonna have to go to city council, then you're gonna have to develop contracts, and then you're gonna have to issue a notice to proceed. And sometimes the notice to proceed from construction date's 3 months, and so, I mean,
So we have to be patient
Yeah.
as it goes through the processes. And of course, we want to catch anything that we need to catch before
But
that.
there's a possibility we might begin in 6 months out by summertime of next year.
Woo, in time to plant those trees. Ah, ah.
Just put your patient hat on it. It'll
could
come.
be, I mean, it really depends on the availability of the contractor and the availability of
That's
any
true.
specific materials that are unique to this type of project and their availability.
It seems like there's so many delays out there already.
Especially that Slate. She said you could only get it one place in Georgia.
Yeah, but maybe in a way that's a good thing. You know, that, yeah, that it could go either way.
It's in Georgia.
Yeah, it's in Georgia. That's a good
Shouldn't
thing.
be an issue. It's in Georgia. It's only like 2 hours from here.
Right. That's a plus. Okay, well, we'll just listen out and see how it proceeds. And I think we're getting closer and closer, and it gets more exciting the closer we get. So, very good. Thank you again for all of your on-target questions. I think that helps to make a better final decision. Okay, moving along here. Disc golf proposal for park.
Yes, ma'am. I had a few things I wanted to bring before this committee.
Okay.
I know we haven't met since I began. Thank you for inviting me and letting me be here.
Oh, my goodness.
And I just got a bunch of ideas, maintenance, things that I wanted to cover with you guys to let you know that we are aware of them. And a lot of things have been scheduled to happen this fall and this winter when we're not cutting grass daily. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. One thing, if you'll notice, disc golf, for those of you that've never heard about it or seen about it, you'll see in your packet. I just stole some pictures offline just to give you an idea of what it is. To me, looking across the pine grove, it's just ideal to have a disc golf course. I think it's something that would blend in and not be noticeable. It's very cost effective. I mean, for less than $5,000, you can have a 9-hole course. And before we went any further in developing plans, or we're just pitching the idea to the committee to see if this is something you guys would be interested in pursuing, and get some feedback on that.
Well, now, explain to me what this is. I see the disc,
Yes, ma'am.
and I see this. The goal is to,
It's just like golf, pretty much. So you'll have a tee box or an area you start from, and you'll have that as your pin or your hole. So the frisbee actually goes in the chains there.
right
It gets
here or in here,
In the
Either,
chains.
either.
Oh.
It gets,
wherever it lands?
yeah, caught in the chains.
Okay,
Pretty much.
Okay,
Either the chains
okay.
deflect it down and it gets caught in the, I've never played myself, but,
It's pretty popular.
it's popular. It's
Yeah.
very, very popular.
Yeah.
They have a 9-hole course at Griffith. If you
Okay.
just wanted to ride up there and take a look at that. But I
Okay.
think this would be a great idea, put more people in the park.
Yeah.
Do you
okay.
move these
No,
at all, or are they?
we are proposing they be permanently fixed.
Yeah.
So they make mobile ones that you can move around, but, you know, it would be concrete post in the ground. So
You don't need to let anything be moved. If you do, it'll be moving every 5 minutes.
Right, it'll move.
People would steal it. Is that
Okay, can you explain to me where you're proposing?
Yes, ma'am, so the picture that you're referring to is just kind of an example graph. It's not a picture of our park,
Oh, okay.
but we would lay out a course. Of course, no frisbees directed towards the walking path or the highway. We would lay it out where it would be challenging. You'll have some easy straight-on shots. You'll have some that have to go around through the pine trees. But we would have a map of the course like this, or the picture below, something very simple. And we would maybe have a station to give out scorecards. And as you walk the trail, there'll be just a marked path off to the side that you go to the holes and complete the course. My idea of doing this is not having, you see the tops are bright yellow and red. I would like it to blend in as much as possible, so when you look, driving down 19, you look out there, you can't even see it.
More like this one, the metal one.
Right.
Yes.
The metal one. So when you're on the course, you'll be able to identify it, but it'll blend in to the pine trees and the natural background up there.
And so Kyle, it would be down below, north of this, Grace.
That's right.
This military exhibition in the
Yes.
mill workers exhibition. So it'd be down below that, among the pine trees as you move towards our street.
That's right. Yep. That's the idea we have in mind.
So are you thinking below the hilltop, or if the memorial were ever extended?
We would stay out of that area. I've got
Yeah.
the concept drawings of that general area, and we'll avoid that area.
Okay.
So which is a good point, Kay, because what we're doing now is, I mean, we do think that in the future there could be more. And so, Kyle, you're aware of maybe original. So would it be then if you stand at the pond and look north towards where this area is going to be, just to the left of the water tank here, are you talking about down and left of there then? Because this Greatest Generation exhibit could extend further towards our street, right?
Well, the direction that is proposed is as that triangle comes narrow, is pointed directly to that detention pond back there with the waterfall in it. That's the path of the whole scope of the project, is between that and that. So we would work around that, and there's plenty of room to do a 9-hole course in that area and avoid that area.
Do you ever do them in the open, or is it more intriguing to do it
I would think it would be more intriguing to have the trees.
within the tree? Yeah, right.
And we would have some easy shots, that would be in the open areas. But we don't want to fill up the open areas with permanent posts.
No,
you know.
no.
Probably can move them pretty easily if you ever need.
Right, right. So
Would the city furnish I saw it up there, they have a backpack, and they have 4 or 5 different size frisbees in that pack. Would the city furnish
I would like to avoid that. I would like for everybody to bring their own frisbees and maybe even their own scorecards. I mean, I think we could print out some scorecards and have those available, but,
We could develop something and put it on the website where they download a form and they can do it on their phone.
That's good.
Yeah, pretty simple, but I think it's a great idea from an economic development standpoint. Talking about quality of life and having things to do. These are great. It's something simple. It's something that both young and old can do together. And I know in Carrollton they have a beautiful one alongside the Greenbelt, and they host tournaments. They have tournaments that bring hundreds of people to the town. just for this disc golf. So I think it's a great way to get people from our region into town and see our beautiful park that we have in the center of our
And
community.
it's so nice that you can add it and it doesn't pop out. I
Take
mean,
away from the park.
you can utilize the beauty of the park without having
Damaging
it,
it.
you know, making any. I did read online. I mean, I went online to read about it because I had, you know, it was new to me. But it said that people, it amused me. They said if you offer it, people need to have manners. In other words, don't get carried away and start shooting them all over the place.
Right.
But
And
you know.
I think Kyle has mentioned keeping it away from the road, keeping it away from the water, the path, keeping it away from this area. And two, it may be an additional thing that people come to the park for
Just
many,
to do that.
for many different
Reasons,
to
right.
walk, to do this, and it also may get them engaged with looking at the exhibit.
Exactly. I think it's a good
It can
idea.
generate interest for
Exactly.
doing it.
Mhm.
They're trying to play pickleball and tennis now.
Yeah,
It's
pickleball
exciting.
and tennis. And I hear the pickleball has really caught on.
Yes.
Yeah. I would make a motion that we authorize Kyle to go forward on the Frisbee golf.
I second.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Yeah, so when I love it too, but when we say go forward, would the next thing be to come back with a design and a location of where it would be? Is that when we say go forward, what would be the next step?
I would say that's up to Kyle, you know.
I think we've had a discussion about it and you feel comfortable
Yeah.
moving ahead. So,
We've had a motion and a second, want to vote?
okay, all in favor? I think everybody's in favor.
I trust you, Kyle.
Kyle, very good suggestion. And,
Thank you.
Well, good. We will work to identify some funding. Hopefully there's some sponsorship
Yeah, I
opportunities
think
out
we got
there.
a group that wants to fund it.
Oh, really?
great.
All right, thank you guys. A couple more things that,
I've spoken to Russell about, and he's in favor of, and we'd like to move forward with. We'd like to build permanent ping pong tables and cornhole tables, and it won't be just for Generation Park. We'd like to do it in all the parks, once we get our design down. But we would like to build these in-house, and they get quite expensive if you were to purchase these. But if you notice your drawings, something like that, you know, that would be permanent, indestructible. Maybe have the metal person fab out City of Thomaston or Greatest Generation Park or something like that for the ping pong net. And just the cornhole tables. When we have events like the 4th of July, the Freedom Fest, we brought out the ping pong table, we brought out the board. So it would be nice to have some permanent activities like this if you all felt like they fit in the landscape somewhere out there. So
Where were you thinking?
somewhere near the festival field, I guess I call it, right in front of the stage, somewhere.
Near the splash pad?
Yeah,
that area?
yeah, somewhere. We would have to identify the area, and we could bring it back, or I could email the committee if we nail down the location. Right now, we're just pitching the idea and seeing if you guys would be in favor.
What would be the cost in that?
If we were to buy these, it would be several $1,000s, and shipping would probably be another several thousand. So we're proposing that we make these in-house for, it may be $1,500 to $2,000 for materials, maybe.
And you're talking about how many?
One for each part.
How much? I mean,
I would think it costed about $1,000 in
no, how
materials.
many?
One for each part, one for Park Street, one for Generation Park, and one for Weaver Park.
That's the ping pong table and the cornhole?
Yes.
Now, do you have a drawing for it, or is that, oh,
It's
here
on
it
there.
is,
It's
here
on
it
the next
is.
page. Just something similar to that. I like the bottom one myself, it's kind of,
So one ping pong, one cornhole, a set at each part.
yes.
The only thing that I have about that is, you know, the areas that you put these things, we do have an open area what's south of the fountain there, but that open area has been used in the past to put the ROTC out there on Veterans Day, and, you know, the band and the ROTC. If we put these things, you know, I'm in favor of anything else out there that's active, you know, that keeps us going. But we can't, you know, locating those would be I just can't figure where we could put them now. Of course, now we're gonna have to be careful about that too, because the nursing home, retirement home, what it is, their property lines come along out there, and they have some plans for their property also. So, you know, we would, of course, just recently I saw the surveyors out there finding those property lines on that south side, you know, south of the fountain there. And of course, if we stayed up above, that it drops off a little terrace there, plus the fact that our walkway that goes around there is somewhere in the general area of where this property line is on that south side. So, you know, I'm in favor of this, but we got to figure out a place to put it. Of course, now there is a spot up there, east of the restroom, that we could put a pickup and put the ping pong table.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is a great idea. It's just, I guess we put it on you.
Yeah, I'll
find a
I'll
spot.
take that into consideration, come up with a couple of options to choose from and bring them back to the committee.
Because you don't want it too crowded where that fountain area is.
Right.
I can't even visualize it right now exactly what room is available, because I have seen that whole area filled up with people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on the 4th of July.
4th of July.
Fill that place up.
And also, there's been talk, it even came out of Heart and Soul, I think, about movies. And so
I've
if you
heard
did
that.
a movie, the most appropriate place would be in front of the splash pad looking down towards the tennis courts, and people could sit out there. And so that area, I mean, and I think you've identified one, maybe east, but Kyle, you look at it and see, and
Okay.
just think that at some point there might be an idea, you know, for movie, and we've always got the 4th of July celebration that you need seating area.
All right.
Do we need a motion on that?
Well, I think maybe Kyle you think about that and come back on anything concrete that you would like to suggest.
Sure, I can do that.
What about the left of the the pickleball courts?
You know, I did think about that.
Because it's
We probably
Lights.
got 50 or 60 feet west of the fence, you know, because the retirement home's property line comes down through there,
Yeah, I
paralleling
didn't know
the fence on the pickleball courts. But it's about 50 feet, of course. Now, right there, 2 ping pong tables,
yeah,
you know.
But they're thinking one.
just one
Oh,
in the
okay,
corner.
one.
One cornhole, is that what you're thinking, one, and one ping pong?
So if I couldn't be playing pickleball, I could be over there
Yeah.
playing ping pong.
Right.
Exactly.
You gotta bring your own paddle, Gary.
What?
You gotta bring your own
He
paddle.
does.
I think you should.
Bring your own paddle.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'll bring my own paddle.
Just think the progression is tennis, pickleball,
Yeah.
and then ping
There
pong.
you go.
Exactly.
But you have people that really don't want to play tennis and they can do
No,
cornhole.
because you age.
Yes.
Well, we might get the children, the kids.
Yeah.
While the parents are playing pickleball, the kids
They'll
are
have
playing
something
ping
to
pong.
do. Very good. So look in that area.
Okay.
Okay.
Was there anything else? Oh, yes,
The
yes.
splash pad, we've got some maintenance issues with it that we'll be addressing this fall. The main thing is crack sealing as the cracks continue to grow around that, and also resurfacing the colored portion of it.
The star.
The star, we're having some issues with that paint pilling up, and it's pilling the top layer of concrete with it, so we're looking at some products that maybe we can remove that and come back with some kind of thermoplastic rubber coating. I've checked with Crown, and they may have something, a product available that would like to test out that's got some anti-slip resistant that would help out. We got some leaks with the pump that we weren't able to fix while it was running, so we need to address those. We have a few concrete slab replacements. If you're there at the park, you've seen a couple places that are busted up. We have those scheduled to be repaired. One around the outside of the festival field, close to the parking lot. I think I showed you all a picture of that. We've got it barricaded, and one slab between the ponds that we've noticed is busted up. The brick corners, Russell has brought that to my attention several times. We've attempted to fix it in-house. Before the Freedom Fest, we went through and we cut the bricks and put them back, and then after the festival, they all came out. So we're still working on that. We may have to put some metal plating under it to support those corners, but we're aware of that. We're working to fix that.
Is that especially around the stairs or?
Around the stairs and around the splash pad itself.
Wherever skateboarders can get.
Yeah, it's just, they're just knocking those corner bricks off, and we're looking for a permanent fix for that. The festival field and the grass in general, as you see when you pull up in the parking lot, most people want to just go between the trees over the grass, and that grass is all but gone. Working on some ways that we can aerate that, maybe temporarily barricade it until we get some grass established, or just go with a different material under those trees. But the Bermuda itself is getting foot trampled, and we're seeing some invasive grass that's coming in it. So I would like to have it aerated and fertilized this coming year, and hopefully we can locate the irrigation and get it turned back on and get that grass in shape. So we're working towards that. There's been a few complaints about the fish, well, the fountain pond, I guess, where the duck traffic has literally just wore down any vegetation, and it's down to hard clay. So no recommendations there other than getting rid of the ducks, and I don't know how you would do that. But
Well, you know, I was talking to Dale about that, and you might want to ask her this. She says there's some kind, I think it's a plant that fools the birds, and that they no longer will dive or fly into. And now maybe I'm losing my mind here, but I really thought she said something that would help prohibit those birds. You might want to just, when you are talking with her, see if she has an idea about that.
all right.
But I know, Russell, you've talked about getting more in there to finish the look of that area.
We've identified a 22 caliber that works pretty good.
Now. Will you clean it for me?
Clean what?
The goose when I shoot it.
How many you want?
You gonna clean it for me so I
How
can?
many you want?
Yeah, I think they're about to take over Thomaston. It's not just the park.
We're exploring all kind of alternatives.
Great.
We, like you said, we got a lot of them.
Yeah, every driveway I'm driving into or going out of, it seems like I encounter the goose.
I saw them all out there at the Methodist Church the other day.
They're still out there.
The sad thing is, I never saw a Canadian, the first time I ever saw a Canadian goose was in Rhode Island.
I know.
And global warming or something, they've all migrated
Something's
south
happened.
now and stay here.
I know.
They don't migrate
No.
anywhere, they just hang out.
They
Now
might-
you've seen a Methodist Canadian goose, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Are we favorable towards those, or, I mean, they're messy, but, I mean, the Keystone, I don't know.
They just selected us.
Did they, if you don't mind, this is something that's perplexed me a little bit, and if I'm interrupting something, please tell me, but, or stirring something up, because I certainly don't want to do that. Whatever happened to the fountain?
So the fountain tore up and is quite pricey to replace, but the good news is that I have advised the water department to have it back and up and operational.
Oh, that's wonderful.
In some form or fashion, and the goal is by Christmas.
Okay.
Oh, that's wonderful, because it really does add a lot of zip.
It was pretty.
We're
Very
not gonna go
pretty.
as high. Some of the complaints we had was when the wind comes through there, it blows a lot of that spray. So we're probably gonna do a lower water feature, but it will have lights.
Wonderful. That's exciting. I have even felt that spray over at Ingles.
I felt the spray too.
Yeah, the one thing, the main complaint I've had to me, and Kyle's already addressed in some of them, the main complaint that is hard to figure out though is inside the fence of the pond. People will throw trash in there, and they're often trying to feed the birds and throwing, but then there's just some bare spots.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to keep that grass cut as low. And Kyle, sounds like you say there'll be some time to sort of work on all that as the grass quits growing in other places so we can get in there. But people absolutely love the park.
Oh, they do.
And I think adding phase 2 is awesome. Adding this interpretive area for the greatest generation is awesome. The tough nut to crack is the geese that have come.
Right.
And just the look of inside the fence and things, so we can work on that.
Two other things we're doing. One, we've got to restripe the parking and some of that stuff on the interior. And two, we've asked the power department to trench in underground power for the duration of the loop for anticipation of events that we want to have at the park, and also to better light the park for Christmas.
Oh, good.
On that point right there about Christmas, does anybody want to say anything about Christmas? There's rumors that I'm hearing.
Okay, so I approached Russell with the idea of utilizing the park during the month of December, so December 10th to January 3rd, for the use of an ice skating rink. We have people driving from Thomaston to Columbus, LaGrange, Macon, Fayetteville, Atlanta for an ice skating rink. So my thought process was, why not us? Why can't we have our own ice skating rink that we can let our community enjoy here locally? So I'm working on getting some sponsorship opportunities out, and the city's on board. I think we've got the county on board as well to help make this feasible for us. And then we're looking to utilize the Civic Center's online registration platform. So you would pre-register, you go on there. With that, we have the opportunity to basically establish a local price, and then if someone from Pike County or Spalding County want to come in, they might pay a little more. Because again, this is for our community, but we want to open it up to people from outside of our community. So yeah, obviously we want to get your permission to have this ice skating rink. We would like to it'd be 30 by 40, so 30 foot by 40 foot wide, and it would be where the fountain is, where the water jet is right now. It has to be on a hard surface, so it's like a synthetic polymer sheeting, but it acts just like ice. They provide the fence around it, they provide all your ice skates, and then we just run it. So, I mean, it's pretty simple, and again, I think it's something that the kids of this community, and even the adults, you know, would really enjoy, because we've never had anything like this. We never had the opportunity to do something like this, and I think it's just a good utilization of the park alongside of our 5K. It's going to be, I think, December 11th, so this will open on December 10th. So people that go to the 5K can be up there, and then be open, you know, all throughout the rest of the month up until January 3rd.
Okay, so the concept is like bringing in the circus kind of.
So bring it. We're just doing an ice skating rink.
Right, but what I mean is,
Yes, ma'am.
they come in. It's like a package,
Uh-huh.
and they put up the fencing.
They set it up for us.
And then they'll take it out when they leave. Okay.
We run it.
Okay, and no damage to that
No, ma'am.
surface.
They just have to have a hard surface, because we thought, you know, we want to do it a little bigger, we could do it out on the grass area. But from my talks with the company, Artificial Ice Events, they're out of Florida, it has to be on a hard surface, whether wooden or concrete. So that's why we identified the splash pad for that. You know, obviously, if this does well, you know, we can move this to the tennis court and maybe do a big one. That's a 5,000 square foot area of the tennis court, and have a large one next year. You know, my goal long term for Christmas is to move our city event and tie it into Christmas Lane. Again,
Right.
that's a unique event to our community, and if the city's gonna support and push a Christmas event, why would we not tie it into Christmas Lane as something that's
Absolutely.
synonymous to our community? So if this
Yeah.
goes well, which I really feel like it will, I would love to have this as a part of a larger Christmas festival next year that ties into the opening of Christmas Lane.
Great.
Tell you
Well,
what,
Kyle, you just mentioned the concrete tearing up under that splash pad. And now you're talking about bringing an additional surface in. Is it going to further erode the problem that is already there?
I don't
Or,
think so at this point, we may have to peel up all the paint to resurface it anyway. So I don't think it could damage it. at this
okay,
point.
okay.
I'll get with Taylor and the dimensions and see if it can go there. And
Russell and I measured out, it should be able to fit.
We're just worried about the grade.
Yeah.
Are we talking about charging to skate?
Yeah, so
Well, we
you know,
can
we haven't finalized the price list yet. Generally, it's about $15. You know, 30 minutes to an hour. And again, if we do it through the Civic Center's platform, everyone has to pre-register through that platform. They schedule a time. You have a time slot. You come out there, Mr. Jones, I have 3 people, and you get your skates. And then with that, again, if we wanted to charge a different price for people outside our community, we could do that, because it ties it back into your zip code. So anything 30286 is going to be, okay, $10 for you. But if you're 30285 or 30284, you know, it might be $15.
Maybe we can use that money, earmark it, to fix the splash pad. You know, it won't cost us anything other than ones that skate.
Well, how much does it cost to bring them in?
We're at 28,000 right now.
And you think you have sponsorships to cover 28,000?
We've raised half, and we've only been trying for a week.
Yeah.
wow.
Fantastic.
I love it. We drove all
Sweet
the way
Way
to
and
the
Empathy
station.
ever does that, or have you talked to them?
So they use the same company.
Okay,
Artificial Ice Events is the same company. I mean, Artificial Ice Events, they know what they're doing.
they do.
They've been doing it for a long time, and you know, it's honestly, it's not that bad for a month, you know, to have that set up there for our citizens to use. I mean, if we can get more than half of it covered by sponsorships, you know, I think it's a great use of some funds to provide activities for our youth.
Mhm.
And the time period for the placement overlaps with Christmas break in the schools too.
Well, that'd be
We
nice.
don't see it, to go back to Kay's question, we don't see it, once we get the splash pad fixed, it doesn't seem to have any detrimental effect to the splash pad. It's gonna be something set up over it, and it shouldn't be a detrimental to the.
Shouldn't be.
You know, should be.
Sounds like it. I think it'd be a really neat idea, and it'd be, you know, I think it's something a lot of our children would never normally get to do, have access to.
And I think it's nice you're tying it in with Christmas Lane and bringing up a community focus all the way around. That's
Yeah,
good.
I mean, with our events in general with the city of Thomaston, you know, in the past, they've been very different. With my position, obviously, I'm over city events, but I can't sit here and do 20 events. So if I'm gonna do an event, I want it to be something that's quality, and it's something that, you know, again, tying into Christmas Lane, you know, moving forward, that's my goal. I think that's Thomaston, that's unique. You can't go to Griffin and go down Christmas Lane. You can't go to LaGrange or Macon or Columbus and go down Christmas Lane. That's something that is unique to our community. So any way I can partner with them and tie a city Christmas festival in with them, that's my goal.
That's great, because it ties into the whole concept of that being the Silvertown Historic District.
It is. It's a special place. And it's, again,
It
she needs
is.
Thomaston, and you know we want to offer events. The park is beautiful. It's an asset to our community. So we want to be able to offer events there that serve our community and others from throughout the region.
True.
And showcase it. If we do it at Great
True.
Generation Park, the more, you know, as invested with the plans as I see today, it's going to be amazing. You know, the more events we have there, the more notoriety this park and our community gets from outside of just our city.
Yeah, and even Dale has commented how many cities have a park that's even named the Greatest Generation Memorial Park. So it just lends itself so much to so many positive things.
Yes, ma'am.
If you guys are, I've got a lot right there at 7th, and I guess it's R Street, that's to open. If you're planning or anything, if you're planning anything with Christmas Lane or any of that, you're welcome to use that. It's 4/10 of an acre.
Okay.
And last year I was trying to brainstorm something to do with it, but besides buying a bunch of lit up reindeer or something, I really didn't have a good idea.
I got
But if that helps,
yeah,
please. I'd love to have something.
You said it's at the corner of.
It's at, I'm on 7th, which is the little cul-de-sac
Yep.
that goes up, and it's right there on the corner of 7th, and I guess that's R.
I got you.
And, it's like I say, it's just an open lot.
Yeah, I was telling John, it's Mr. Edmondson's old property.
Okay.
And I was just reminding him that, he didn't know this, that Mr. Edmondson was once part of this park committee.
Really?
And he was a veteran of World War II, and we've remembered him on occasions. He really was a very positive influence on this committee. So I think it's great that you're here today and you're offering to join in. I think that's wonderful.
I'd love to get more involved with it, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Anything I can do to help.
John Housley.
Thank you, Mr. John.
We're also gonna ask council to appropriate funds to remediate the hole in Greatest Generation Park this year.
To do what now?
Fill in the hole.
Fill in the
Randy
hole.
Falls, we're gonna fill in Randy Falls.
Oh, my goodness. That's good. Well, the liability, I'm sure, but
I just need you to finish that name
oh.
when you get
okay.
a chance.
Okay,
What is
thank
that?
you.
We don't know. It's an old overflow.
Oh, you mean down, kind of down below?
Yeah, down below your property right there.
Yeah.
I wish we could do something with it. It's really.
Kyle's exploring.
Honestly, I'm not sure. You'll have to ask him, but it sounds,
I mean, the
Okay.
yeah, something in that.
I could see
Okay.
something happening.
It could be part of the disc, the Frisbee golf.
Come on, Kyle, I have
Put
faith
a
in
lot
you.
of thought in.
I've given Kyle creative.
I have faith in you, Kyle.
And I think Dale had an idea even.
It was to turn it into a bio retention area.
So this,
basically
if you're
just
covering it up, I guess,
Constructed wetland
yeah,
is what they had in mind.
but that's not that's not being considered anymore as a possibility. or-
That was gonna be on us, not part of the project.
I understand
Yeah.
that. It was just a remark that was made.
Well, I don't think so, because you still have 8 to 10 feet of standing water, even
Yeah.
if you were to do that,
Yeah.
which would be a liability, and we would need fence around it, so. I'm trying to salvage the waterfall itself.
Yeah.
and turn
Right.
it into some kind of a planter, just plant shrubs or something to drape over the front, maybe fill in the back where you can walk out so it's not a flat back,
Mhm.
and then grade the bowl somehow where it's not a bowl, it's just, but I don't know if it's salvageable. I've stared at it for hours.
Yeah, yeah.
You could recreate.
You're not alone,
17
Kyle.
holes
Yeah, I've had an
on
architect and an engineer look at it.
On the golf, the frisbee golf, recreate that 17th hole upon a beaver where you're hitting.
You can almost make it like an amphitheater kind of look, not an amphitheater, but a look.
Yeah. That's a lot of earth moving.
Okay, okay, I think it's kind of spreading out here. Is there anything else we need to bring up?
I didn't see it. Maybe I missed this.
Oh, yes.
Did I miss
That was
this?
just a side note. That was an old utility shed that we demolished and turned into a picnic table pad, and we don't have the picnic tables. They've been backordered several months. So we've installed a grill on that pad, and we'll just have a picnic table and a little sitting area.
Well, was this next to the scout hut?
It's on down the hill. close-
Okay, I think I remember where it is. Yeah.
You know, we started doing things like this, and Russell said, there's a committee you need to run this by, so I figured before I tear up the park and rebuild stuff, I'm gonna bring things like this to you guys to sign
Thank
off
you.
on beforehand.
That's,
Yeah, that
Sorry
was,
it's
about that
always
one.
nice to
that was
get
an
other
eyesore for
viewpoints.
sure.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
the
homeless people
homeless,
were
yeah.
in there, so it looks great.
I was
Yeah.
wondering what it was.
Okay, well, if there's no further business, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your input.
Let me say one more thing. One more thing. The city of Thomaston is so lucky to have young people come back here like Kyle and like Taylor to come back here and give us old people some better ideas.
Oh,
And I want to say thank you to all of you.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, we're delighted you're here.
Some of us are still young. And thank you, John, for coming. It sounds great. I'm glad you.
Something started.